Closing your financial year on Liberty accounts is a very straightforward exercise. From the control menu, we look at batch jobs and close financial year. The system advises of the year about to be closed, but it will also confirm if there are any income and expense transactions that haven't been analysed to a fund, in this case one transaction. And secondly, if there's a balance in your suspense account. If either of these two situations exist, then this submit button is disabled and we have to correct these particular situations. So let's first review the items not analysed to funds. I can click on the item here and it takes me straight to Accounts and Find Transaction, which you'll find is a useful tool to find transactions on the system. In this particular case, we're looking in the financial year where a fund hasn't been assigned. And here is the single transaction. From the Action menu, I can use the Analyse tool and I can correct the situation. So here I can see the fund hasn't been defined and I simply correct it by choosing the appropriate fund. And I click Submit to update. That's now been corrected and I can confirm that by going back to my closed financial year, and so there are no transactions currently not associated with a fund. We'll now investigate the suspense account balance. This can happen in a couple of ways. One, you've recorded transactions to the suspense account and you want to reanalyze them at some later time. You can review the suspense account and it will show you that in your financial year, you actually have no transactions analysed, but there is a brought forward of £100. I can review by changing the dates, but the typical situation here is where you have entered your opening balances, but you haven't entered a balanced opening position. And if I scroll down to the bottom, it will confirm that my opening balance is out by £100. When you enter your opening balances, the system will post an entry to suspense account as the contra entry to anything you've entered. So if I look at fund balances, I can see that I've entered this value here and the system will have recorded that 16,000 to the suspense account. And if I look at my bank accounts, I've entered the same value there. But in addition to those, I've actually also added a value against my gift aid pending. And this £100 is what's throwing that out. So I need to consider what is the transaction that's missing and make that correction. And if that is a revised figure for my opening fund position, then I simply come back to my fund balances and say, yep, this was actually a different value. And now my opening position is correct. I have a balanced opening position and I can now close my financial year. Closing the financial year, job done. And now when I go to any reports that I want to generate, I'll see that I can generate for the current or the closed year. If you've closed a year, then the transactions cannot be edited. However, if you've made an error and want to reopen a year, you go to Control, Batch Jobs and Batch Run History, and you can delete that year-end close, which will reopen the year and allow you to make any corrections. Please feel free to contact us on any information about year-end close or other features of Liberty accounts.